Greetings, this is Dr. Jeffrey Scott. This is my Market MRI Pro daily market update for April 7, 2025. Cheer, cheer, a bottom appears to be in. But the question is, does anybody know if this is the bottom? Again, it's April 7th, 2025. My name is Jeffrey Scott, and you can reach me either at marketmripro@gmail.com or htscidoc@gmail.com. Yeah, it's a corny title. Sometimes they don't come easy. The sessions for educational purposes only. Anything I talk about should be taken in the spirit of education and not investment advice. To attend to the videos to demonstrate how I use my tools for top-down investing. Trading involves risk. You are solely responsible for any investment decisions you make. I may own or intend to buy or sell any stock mentioned in this report. Trading stocks and options should be considered risky, and you should consult with your financial advisor before making trades. And I have tools for multiple platforms, but am an independent trader. Hope you can join me in Orange County, June 6th through 8th at the Residence Inn and Suites in Tustin. Reach out to Greg Mills. He'll give you an update about how many rooms are left. $300 I think is what we're charging. It's a no frills, 4 to 6 speakers. I will definitely be on site. Some will be zooming in, and I'll speak about half the time, give or take. Love to have you join, get to know you. Why come live instead of hoping we do this online? Because of the networking. We have so much fun going out to dinner, hanging out together. And why is it cheap? Well, you get free breakfast in the hotel. You can buy your own coffee. And then, we go out to dinner. So really, what else is there? And then if you haven't already, why haven't you joined my Top Down Trader Google group? It's free. I'll never charge you for being a member. I'll probably soon port it back to Discord when I have more free time. Search for Top Down Trader, tell you how you want to be notified, and we'll get going. And then news and earnings. So Monday we had one Fed speaker in consumer credit. Tuesday we got Mary Daly and some NFIB optimism. And then Wednesday, that's Tuesday. Wednesday we got Fed minutes. And then Thursday fun, jobless and CPI, lots of Fed heads. And then Friday, the PPI. So lots of news. So is this the bottom or a bottom? I think it's a bottom, but we'll see. It's a judgment call to hold stocks over earnings date. It is bad judgment to not know when your stock's earnings date is scheduled. Now on to the charts. Now this is something I showed last week, and even though I'm thinking that we're at a bottom, I'm going to point out that we're at about 80% of stocks are below their Bollinger Bands, which was as bad as it got back here in 2008 October. This was clearly a bottom as well, but it wasn't the bottom. And this just reminds me that is it the bottom is a legitimate question. All right, now into the platforms. Let's start with Market MRI Pro, and let's go into the daily performance. So I've ranked it by performance. Was it a good day in the market today? Everybody wants to think so. It certainly felt better, but it really wasn't, and I'll show you why it wasn't, although it was better than the last 2 days. Wide range, super wide range. You could see that if you look at percentage increases, the only thing that was up was the Qs. The VIX was down a little bit. Spider was down a bit. The Russell down more, as was the diamonds. When you look at where they closed, they all closed in the middle of their trading range. And you look at this, the high, you can see how much ran up to 13% higher on the VXX, 3.5% to 5% on the stocks, 2.35 diamonds lagged a bit, and the lows were as low as 8% down on the VIX, 5 and 4 on the Russell and the diamonds, and 4 on the Qs and the spiders. Massive range, massive range. If you look at new high, new lows, they're still pretty darn ugly. If you look over here, you can see we had more sectors and industry groups up. But let's just focus on this line. The S&P 1500, only 28% of the stocks were up. This was not a strong day. In the NASDAQ, it was 34, and the NYSE, it was 25. Now, I was so bothered by these numbers, I'm going, nah, it felt like it was a stronger day. So I went to another source of truth, and I looked at the wonderful Q Edge tool, and what did it tell me? Only 28% of the stocks in the S&P 1500 were up. So I'm going to believe that that is accurate. So no reason not to believe it. It just seemed different. If I look at the one-day change, what led the market higher? Tech, communications were the only two that were up. It wasn't a very strong day, was it? Real estate, materials lagged, even discretionary lagged. A mixed day at best. But why do I think a bottom is in? And no, it's not because the futures are up big right now at 10 o'clock Eastern time. It's because of charts, and I'll show you the charts as we go. And if we look at what was working the best was the big oversold semiconductors, metals mining, cybersecurity were some of the things that led us higher. What's the argument that we're over, that this might be over? Let's look at the buckets. We have 73% of the stocks in the NYSE are below their Bollinger Bands. 79% in the S&P 1500, and both of those are worse than yesterday or Friday. 52% of stocks in the NASDAQ and 65% in the Russell. Those are massive numbers. So what's different from yesterday to today? Well, we had that intraday reversal. So this is very supportive. Let's look at some other things. Market breadth. Look at the stocks down here below the 200 in red, 15%. That's by far the lowest going back here all the way to the left. 6.73 above. So let me say that right. 15% are above the 200. 6% are above the 50, and a little less are above the 17. And you could see just as bad over here. So those are more reasons to expect. Then what you see is this tail here on the NYSE. That's what a bottom looks like, with sort of a jackhammer as John Person. And look at this. Volume was big in the markets. If we look over here, what do we see? Big volume the last couple of sessions. We had a white candle that actually turned positive on the session for the NASDAQ. And again, a bottoming tail and a topping tail. Now, same story, big volume. Yes, new high, new lows, advanced declines, and up-down volume were still negative except on the NASDAQ. We did get another baby out with the bathwater, the bingos on both of them. But why am I feeling this way? Let's take a look at some of the other things I like to look at. The T2121 is at 0.22. That's, folks, is about as low as it gets. Pretty much every time we get down to that white line, you get a reversal. You get a reversal. You get a reversal. You get a reversal. Short term. And then you go back here and you're getting to March and April of 2020 and you got the reversal. This is where we reverse from. You look over here, 4.93% of stocks on the weekly are above their 40-day or 40-week moving average or 200-day. Different universe here. They don't disclose. The last time it looked this bad was a 2020 bottom. So these are all things that tell me we have a short-term bottom here. Could be long-term, but I can't look out more than what I saw today and what I'm thinking about in the markets tomorrow. So we looked at the buckets, the market breadth, we looked at the daily brief. Let's see if anything happened in our timing model. We certainly don't expect that. You can see the 13-day or 13-week new high, new lows are crashing on the bottom here, matching up with Warden, just calling out a bottom is likely. We are still in a sell signal. We're going to bottom before we turn green. Just the way it works, you're going to have to move up on the weekly to get above the WMA. If we look at the daily, and This was just the same timing model, but looking at daily charts, it takes a second to run. And you could see, these are reversal looking candles. Traded open, traded lower, closed higher. I'd rather see more things underneath, more tails, but I think we saw the tails. But the tails that we saw, let's get to daily of the futures. And I got to do one quick change here because I loaded it without the matching thing. Let's go back to the daily. And I was really excited when I was watching the futures in the market. And don't tell me they're all going to say, okay. All right, BT coin. All right, this has got to go to at E-minis. At ES. And what I saw this morning was tails. Tails on big volume days. Tails, 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 even on Bitcoin. So the futures had already improved significantly before the market opened. You could see right now the up move has continued. On the E-minis are up 86. The Nasdaq's up about 300 points. The Diamonds rather up 744. The Russell's up 38. Oof. We'll make some money tomorrow, aren't we, if you still have any long holdings? Of course, we don't know that. The market could change before it opens up. So these told me we likely had a reversal coming in. And so, again, we're still going to be sell signals for a couple days, but the daily will start flipping. When we've looked at major market bottoms, and let's just go look at one. This is going to take longer today. I'm sorry. I tried getting them done in 15 minutes, but this isn't the right day to do 15 minutes. Let's go see if we can find March of 2020. The weeklies took forever. The weeklies did not turn positive until you got back above the WMA. It got you out right at the top. And that's really what it does well. But you have to get in, not waiting for the weekly. And if we look at the dailies, and let's just type in here, let's go back to 2020, and let's look at March 2020, and go for March 1st. And you could see the daily flipped all the way back here. So it may take a few days for the daily to flip to positive. So I will be looking at the markets. I already started nibbling. I think I told you over the weekend I'd look at some leveraged ETFs to the long side, which is what I started doing with the reversal at the open on Monday. I think the next step is to look at some positions if we continue to move higher. Again, I think a short-term bottom is in. Let's look at the index ETFs. And why do I keep saying that nasty two words of short-term bottom? Let's just look at this one. So when you look at where we came from, we've had a big run. We've hit the 200 several times. We did not hit it this time. That might be one thing I'm looking at as a potential reason. This here, and I don't know if these are turned on for this view. I asked Praveen, but I don't think I asked him. All right. This to me seems like another opportunity. So we may be done, but for us to go on to new highs, just think about what we're going to have to accomplish. We've got another significant move from 504 to 566 to get back up to the 50-day moving average. That's a 10% move. Will we get there? I'd love it. I don't know. If we can break above the 50, we got to break above the 17. Fortunately, this is the weekly, so let's go look at the daily, which would be a better one to look at here. My bad. Same thing. We're going to have to get from the 504 all the way up to 574. 14% move. That's a big move. we got a couple of gaps to fill. We're going to have resistance probably along the way. Could this be a V bottom and we go on to happy days? It could be. Um, but on the same token, I'm expecting us to fail. I'm expecting us to come back and retest. We don't have to. I just have to be aware, which means I'm going to be careful as to how fast I deploy my capital. I am willing to give up some gains than to get trapped in a bull trap. Um, so if we look at the daily spiders, um, there we go. I have to pull up enough to see the bar. Nice reversal session in the market, but still finished down just a bit. You look at the daily Qs, up a bit. The diamonds, nice reversal, but still down a bit over a little bit, 0.95. If you look at the Russell, down a little, 1.25, at least actually zero point 0.9 at the close. This is another reason, the VIX, to say maybe we really did bottom. I've been suspicious with all these runs on the VIX to say, gosh, that's not that big. This is what I wanted to see. And guess what? We didn't get that total blow off, but we got a move up to 60. This is about 66. We closed at the bottom of the session. It looks to me like the VIX is going lower. When the VIX is high, it's time to buy. When the VIX is low, look out below. So a lot of reasons to believe, more than just looking at the futures, that the market is poised to go higher. Dollar bounced a little bit, but I think this was a makeup for the last 2 trading days and kind of an everything up day. Let's look at commodities and see if that everything up continues. Okay, so even though it was everything up on the long stuff, what you see are things that were up perhaps in sympathy with the market concerns. Gold came down. Big move down on gold, down 2.15%. Silver, which came down a lot harder, was down 0.61 at the close. If we look at oil, oil sort of bouncing around here, down another 3%. Oh my goodness gracious. Actually, yeah, it looks like about 3%. Natural gas bouncing around here under the 50. And then a rebound in the 10-year and in the 30-year. Again, sort of the risk came back on and some of the safety. Perhaps there was another reason, but I think with the bottom of the market, some money started coming out of bonds, and that caused bonds to drop and rates to go higher. So lastly, what do you do for trades? We looked at a couple things over the weekend. One thing we looked at was Nike. And, there were mixed emotions about Vietnam in the market, so Nike didn't do anything. Okay. We talked about home builders and how I thought that was kind of crazy, but maybe with the rates dropping. With the rates going higher, what did home builders do in the market? They didn't do much either. So what worked today? So let's go into top down, and we could see that even though it felt much better, and I'm thinking that we hit a bottom, it was marine shipping, energy, and tech. I think I'm interested in tech right now. Let's take all the stocks in technology. Let's look at the movement on the industry groups. Let's take the first 3. All hardware. Let's look down here, ranked by short-term momentum. KLAC, kind of like home builders look, big move on, but at a big low. I'm just going to go through, see if anything looks good. Everything is going to look beaten up, and that's the problem. Even Broadcom here is beaten up. So one of the things I really like about the program is you can actually flip through for an online program pretty darn quickly. So super micro, but these things all look kind of tough. So what you might have done is SOXL. SOX has been killed. What about 3X long? And again, you have to pinch your nose. And it's a cheap stock, but will this thing run up here? I don't know. Why do you not want to be long a lot of contra ETFs? Because when the market moves, the contra ETFs go the wrong way. So let's just look at SQQQ. The Qs were the leader in the market, and you could see a reversal here after they ran up early as the market sold off. I think you still got to be careful. Let me just show you a couple things that I'm looking at. One is a current holding of mine that I'm looking to add to. Actually, the first two are some holdings that I still have a little bit left that I want to rebuild my position. Celsius Holdings moved up on a acquisition, holding the 200 here. The 17 is about to cross, the 50 is heading up. Look at the relative strength. Is this a great looking chart? No. But you know what? It's outperforming pretty much everything else you're going to see. Another one that looks to me like it might be finding some footing is SE, which I took profits on and pulled back to the 200 in a big reversal, coming out of a squeeze with a green candle low. It's got work to be done, but these are things that I'll be looking at. One that is hard to believe is BJ's Wholesale Club. What the heck's gotten into this thing? It's still in a major uptrend, pulled back a little bit in the market. But BJ's looks great. And how about one more? And let's look at, we think I had something all set to show you. RYTM. Healthcare seems to be strengthening. And here's Rhythm. Pharmaceuticals, big reversal bar. Massive volume. Is this going to be an episodic pivot? That came out of some positive news on the drugs. So you had a CPR, you had a gap volume breakout momentum, a green candle low coming out of a squeeze with relative strength and OBV on the same bar. So there's a couple things I'll be looking at. I think we have a bottom here. Whether this bottom lasts for 6 more hours or the bottom lasts for a couple of weeks, my concern is there's so much overhead supply. We haven't solved anything on the tariffs yet, and I don't really trust the market. But I also recognize reality. And if we come out tomorrow or the next day and you hear Trump say pause on the big tariffs, everybody wants to negotiate and give them awesome deals. We saw what happened. The market went crazy to the upside on a false news. So have a great day in the market. I think we may have a bottom in, but I'm not sure it's the bottom. Take care, everybody. Thank you.